Welcome to the Alchemy Lounge, where we dismantle manifestation myths, rewrite your success codes, and activate your highest reality. I'm Victoria Quance, your intuitive alchemist, blending science, soul, and strategy, so the extraordinary becomes your everyday. If you're ready to rip up the rulebook and unfuck your life, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Let's start with a truth that most of us don't want to admit. But we have been conditioned to believe that life is happening to us rather than for us. And as a result, we're kind of moving through the world pretty unaware, almost hostage to our narratives, our limiting beliefs, if you want to call them that, our societal programming and external expectations that, depending on where you're from and the culture that you live in, are going to vary massively. But the way that we accept things how they are without questioning them just keeps us kind of stuck. It's what I call like the Muggle life or the Muggle mindset. So we're sort of telling ourselves this is just the way life is. This is, what life is about. Life is hard. We have to work hard. Success is hard. Maybe you tell yourself stories like people like me just don't get opportunities, or things like this just aren't meant for my family. However, you're not even thinking these thoughts consciously. So they've actually been coded into your identity since childhood. So something that I just want to ask you to begin with, are you living reactively, just accepting your life as it is? Or are you somebody who is actively shaping your reality? Now, this is really key, and it's one of the things that we kind of cover when we initially start diving into the concept of manifestation. Because when we first sort of discover manifestation, if you like, it's a term that is thrown around an awful lot. It has definitely become trendy over the last decade or so with books like The Secret, the movie of the same name. There are tons of resources out there now talking about manifestation and the law of attraction, which is brilliant as a starting point. And it's great that this has been brought into our conscious awareness as a collective. However, when we look at what manifestation is at its very core, is creating your life. Now, as you go through the episodes of this podcast, I will obviously be going through many of the manifestation myths, as well as giving you hacks and tips and ways that you can actually work with manifestation a little bit more efficiently, shall we say. But to begin with, if we just look at what manifestation is and creating your reality, we're not just going to accept it. You get to make choices. You get to design your lifestyle, or you can choose to be a passenger. And don't get me wrong, we all start in this phase. So if you are somebody who is currently living pretty reactively and accepting life as it is for you right now, we all start in that phase as adults, not as children. We'll talk about that on another episode, but as adults. So we live with this mindset that's almost unexamined, and we see manifestation as being a little bit woo-woo and feel that wealth or abundance or success comes from that hustle rather than actually what it really comes from and the alignment of that. So just some signs to look out for that you're potentially operating in this Muggle mindset right now. So if you find that your reality is showing you that success is about working harder, it's nothing to do with frequency. You just believe wholeheartedly that you have to work hard in order to reap the rewards. You potentially dismiss things like intuition, energetic work. You might not even be that sciencey, shall we say, when it comes to things like quantum physics or the science of the universe. And you probably are seeing life right now more as limitation rather than possibility. Now, none of this is your fault. So this is purely conditioning. And if you stay in this phase too long, then you will keep manifesting the same results. You will keep creating the same patterns in your lifestyle, the same cycles, and the same setbacks. Now, for a lot of people, that is going to be their life, their entire life is going to be in this Muggle way of being because they don't know any different. Now, the very fact that you're here and you're listening to this podcast tells me that you do know there is something different. And I'm actually going to take you through the different phases over the next couple of episodes. And these are phases, they're not like stages of enlightenment or anything like that, although they do show you how we shift our awareness and our knowledge and how that actually impacts how we operate in this world. So I will go through that in future episodes with you. But for your first step, what I would love for you to do is just let's start breaking this pattern. So we're going to start, this is like level one, before we get into the neuroscience, before we get into the spirituality. I want you to just first off think about one belief, one story that you hold on to that has kept you playing small. Now, by playing small, this could look completely different for all of us. It might be that you are sticking with a job that you hate, but pays the bills, brings in the money, but actually you'd really love to be an artist and you would absolutely adore to have your own business, open up your art gallery, sell your art, showcase your talents, but you stay in the job because it's safe, it's consistent, it brings in money to pay the bills. That could be one way that you play small. So have a think, one belief, just one story, one narrative that has kept you small. And then I'd love you to ask yourself, where did that come from? So, in that example of the aspiring artist, perhaps they were told from a really young age that we have to have a full-time employed job in order to be safe and secure and to provide. Maybe they were told you can't be a parent and then go off and set up a business. Maybe they were told that artists and creatives were always underpaid, that you can't make a living from something that is just a hobby. So ask yourself, with your belief, with your story, where did it come from? And was it actually yours to begin with, or was it something that you absorbed from others? Because what happens when we are children, and even actually from even in the womb, before we are even birthed into this world, we are absorbing everything from others. So obviously in the womb space, you are literally absorbing nutrients as well as stories and beliefs from your mother, your biological mother. So our narratives begin at this point. A lot of the work that you might read around mindset and belief systems will say that it's from birth. But actually, we can dive a little bit deeper into that. And I absolutely love this stuff. I think from my work as a womb healer as well, when I was working in the healing space, and diving deeper into actually our stories can begin when we are just a fetus, because we're still absorbing energy, right? We're still absorbing those vibrations. So if we were, conceived unexpectedly, or our biological mother was in a really toxic relationship and she was panicked throughout her whole pregnancy, we're going to absorb that as well. So it does begin before birth, but we're not going to worry about that too much right now. We are just going to think about this belief. So typically, this might be something that came from your childhood. So let's play with the ages from 0 to 7. And the reason for this, and the reason that if you've ever had therapy or you've ever done work with a coach, very often we do talk about childhood. And I'm very much of the mindset and the attitude that we don't need to keep going back and digging things up and looking for things. And sometimes maybe the thing isn't even there that we're searching for. But it's very easy for us to just blame childhood, blame our caregivers, blame our upbringing. It's not always the case. But when you're first uncovering this kind of work, this can be a good place to start. So between the ages of 0 and 7, we are like little human sponges because we don't know any different. So we will literally take on every story, every belief, everything that we're taught, everything that we're told, and just believe that it's true because we don't have the emotional intelligence yet. We don't have the cognitive abilities to question it. So we just absorb. I like that little human sponge. So when you look at your story, when you look at that one belief that has sprung to mind as you're listening to this podcast, where did it come from? And was it yours, or was it something that you were told, that you learned, or you simply absorbed from those around you? And after this break, we're going to flip the switch a little bit. So your reality is just a story. Everything that you believe about your reality as a human on this planet is just a story. And every story can be rewritten. As you'll have seen with novels, with books, with even things like the Bible, these things get rewritten. So you can change your story. So if the belief that you have just picked up on, the story you've just picked up on, if it's not serving you, if it's not benefiting you anymore, you can change it. And the same goes for your current circumstances. Because your current circumstances right now are not your final destination, and you are certainly not here on this planet to exist in survival mode. You are here to be a co-creator and create effortlessly. And we will talk more about this in future episodes. But right now, let's look at some evidence. Because if ever you have done any work around rewiring beliefs or changing narratives or letting go of limiting beliefs, there are 101 different tools and techniques that you can use. Some of them will work, some of them won't work. It depends on a lot of different factors, your psychological makeup, your neuroscience, your neuroplasticity. Tons and tons of different factors are going to be at play. But what we can do is work with evidence, because as a human, you are naturally going to love evidence, and your brain, the way that it's wired, will never ever prove you wrong. So what you tell it and the words that you speak are always going to be truth to you. So when you've got that story in your mind that's not benefiting you anymore, it's not even your story, it's something that you've held on to, we can flip that. So if we go back to our example of our aspiring artist, they've been told they're never going to make any money from something that they love. It's just a hobby. They can't possibly look after a family and set themselves up as this artist, as this self-employed visionary that they really want to be. So they can let go of the job that's just so unsatisfying, but it is paying the bills. Now, if we were to look at that belief, or those several beliefs there, those several stories that are going on, we want to look for some evidence of the opposite being true. So in this case, could they find artists that have made a living through their art and through their work? Absolutely. How many artists are there in the world that are absolutely surviving and thriving through doing what they love? Thousands, millions. I don't even know the statistics on this, but it's possible because other people are doing it. So if you can find one person that has done what you want to do, or that behaves in the way you wish you could behave, has the confidence that you wish that you had, the relationship you long to have, the bank balance that you desire. If you can find one person in this world that has that, there's some evidence. It's one of the steps of rewiring your thoughts. Now, I have various methods that I use with my clients and in my Alchemy Academy and in the Rebel Empires as well. It's the Get Unfucked Rewire method. There's lots of different aspects to it, but one of them is looking for this evidence. So if you can find evidence, you can disprove your old story and find proof for the new one that you would rather have. And this is just the beginning, because once you start to play with this, you start to move into that next phase where you actually start to dabble a little bit more. What is manifestation? What is this law of attraction that everyone speaks about? And then you go deeper. You start to expand with tools, vision boards, affirmations. You start buying a ton of crystals, oracle cards, all the fun stuff that we love to play with. But then you start to question it. You go a bit deeper and you go, well, how is this actually working? And that's where I bring in the science. Not only because scientifically, there are also another ton of proven strategies and techniques that you can use to enhance your manifesting, enhance your creations, but also because that helps you as a human being, not only as a spiritual soul, which is the next phase on top of this, but it helps your human understand. It gives you evidence. So what I would love for you over the coming days, the coming weeks, think about your thoughts. So perhaps start with the next 24 hours. Observe your thoughts. So anytime that something limiting comes up, anytime you hear that voice in your head saying, you can't do that, that's not possible. You can't make money from what you love. You can't leave your job. Whatever it may be, you got to flip it. So instead of saying things like, I always struggle with money, try on something like, I'm shifting into wealth. I'm always making more money. More money is always possible for me. Money flows into my life just like air. Because remember that your words are spells. They are coding your reality in real time. So you want to make them count. And this is really your moment to shift. This is just the beginning. The very fact you're here means you're not here for that Muggle lifestyle. We're here for something special. We're here for something different. And over the course of the next episodes in this podcast, you are going to learn so much more. And I can't wait to share this journey with you. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like and subscribe, and then step deeper into my world. Inside my Facebook group, Manifestation Myths, The Science and Success Codes by VQ, you'll gain deeper insights, exclusive activations, and live experiences with me. And if you're ready for full mastery of your business and lifestyle, explore my latest offers at vqlifestyle.com. Until next time, remember who the fuck you are, live exquisitely, and lead exceptionally.